I once had two new employee job interview in Miami. I resided in Chicago at the time. I was bringing the drive down there. As opposed to traveling to set aside cash, my, at the time, work sucked. And the two positions I was talking with for could at last be another beginning for me. They were corporate office occupations with a ton of advantages and great compensations, in addition to the weather conditions would be far superior to Chicago. I was getting down there on a Friday night. I took off from work Saturday, since that is the point at which the two meetings were since I needed to work Friday. I needed to raise a ruckus around town when I was off work. I halted home first to get my bag and other stuff. I was bringing, then I expressed farewell to my family and set off. It was a long 6 or more hour drive in front of me. My LMS was into the early hours of the morning, like 1 a.m. I was going to a Solace hotel. I drank like 2 containers of cold beverages my initial not many hours driving and for some time. I was great yet assuming that you're as of now barley scraping by no measure of cold beverages will push you along. I as of now didn't get a lot of rest. The prayer night since I was worrying about these meetings and following a long bustling day at work. The last thing I needed to do was driving near 7 hours. It was late around evening time now. I had around 2 hours left in the drive. There were not very many different vehicles out and about this late around evening time on 7 days night. I was beginning to feel truly lethargic now, yet I knew a large portion of the drive was behind me. Unexpectedly, on the expressway, I saw a man in a gasp shirt remaining there, not strolling, not moving. He was confronting my vehicle, and as I viewed at him as I passed, I saw his face going to follow my vehicle, I said, without holding back what on earth it was genuinely peculiar. I nearly considered pivoting and inquiring as to whether he really wanted a ride. He was simply in the center of the parkway, in a gasp shirt at like 1:30 around evening time. I concocted stories in my mind about what might have happened, like perhaps his sweetheart removed him from the vehicle. I did this to fend my brain off on the grounds that I felt like I was floating away. Then something past startling happened. It was just a short time after I had seen that man that I saw one more man out and about, coming up additionally in a gasp shirt. Additionally remaining there, what in the world was going on? Dialed back to pull to the roadside and conceivably inquire as to whether all was well and perhaps offer a ride. I don't have any idea what I was thinking, yet one way or another when I was on the shoulder nearly to a stop, I searched in the back view mirror and afterward turned around totally and that man was gone, as though he just vanished. I hurried up and got back out and about. I was losing it. I expected to stop for one more cold drink. I had around 2 hour and a to go. As of now, I halted at the principal refueling break I could find and purchased a cold drinks. I drank a couple of tastes yet as I was sitting in the Rest Region service station parking garage. I detected a man in a gasp shirt, again remaining under a light post. Same man this time. I got a more clear perspective all over. He seemed to be a moderately aged white man, diminutive, dim, earthy colored hair, clean cut, and an unbiased demeanor. Yet it was how he was by and by confronting my vehicle. That monstrosity's me. The out turned the vehicle on and left without thinking back. I needed to finish this drive. Yet the beverages wasn't doing it. I felt like I planned to drop in the driver's seat. I won't work everything out. Such that I pulled off the throughway and left in an irregular parking garage. I calculated the seat right down, and I endeavored to nod off. However drained as I seemed to be, I couldn't resist the opportunity to be terrified in this vacant parking garage, frightened that assuming I opened my eyes, I would see that man in the suit again. I was floating into a rest when something made me awaken once more and open my eyes, presumably my psyche pulling pranks on me again. I checked out the beyond my vehicle, terrified. I planned to see him. I peered through every window and afterward the front, and it was clear. Then I thoroughly searched in the back view mirror, and I felt my spirit leave my body briefly on the grounds that there I saw briefly an individual in the secondary lounge was the man in the gasp shirt once more. Yet I didn't look long enough, since I opened the entryway, shouted, and fell in reverse out of the vehicle. As I slithered back, I continued to shout until I at long last got up, glimpsed inside the vehicle and saw no one. The rearward sitting arrangement was unfilled as I woke up I understood my brain had been pulling pranks on me the entire night. There is no man in a gasp shirt. I'm extremely tired and need to rest. I got back in my vehicle, my heart dashing sincerely now. However, I was too alert to even consider falling asleep. I walked out on and completed my virus drinks and banged out the remainder of the drive. When I looked into the inn and got to the room, I fell into the bed and passed out immediately. The following day, my most memorable meeting was at 12 p.m., so I didn't get a lot of rest yet. I certainly felt fairly re-energized anyway. The second my questioner left to welcome me, I froze up. My questioner appeared to be indistinguishable from the picture of that man in the suit. I continued to fantasize the prior night. Realized the questioner saw me freeze up. I could see it right in front of him. I attempted to recuperate from this, yet it set the vibe until the end of the meeting, and I was totally anxious and out of it. I felt like I weren't a fantasy. I passed on that meeting with just an hour to prepare for my next one. My next questioner was a lady. I improved this one since I truly landed the position. I actually work here and live in Miami now, my old specialist. Let me know that she thinks the pressure of intellectually getting ready for the meetings blended in with the absence of rest made me daydream the primary driver of my trepidation and stress. So I daydreamed a man in a gasp shirt, since that is who I envisioned would meet with me. I feel as it doesn't sound excessively far got yet, it doesn't change how tremendously horrendous the entire trial was. It was the most incredibly terrible night of my life. It actually creeps me out. I'm 26 years of age, and my sweetheart boyfriend, Sam, lives in an alternate state for me. We alternate visiting each other generally. However, I'll typically wind up visiting him all the more frequently on the grounds that he has his own place. I actually live with my sister as a flatmate. I was going up there for 7 days since it was winter sever, and I had on the grounds that I'm an educator, so I stuffed a ton. I was taking up there my bad Toyota RAV4 that I purchased for my sister up. Where Sam resides, there was snow on the ground as of now. So the more west I got, the more cautious I must be driving, as that vehicle was not exactly worked for driving in the snow. It was on the later side, and tragically, it was beginning to snow truly hard now. There were snowstorm admonitions before yet. Both Sam and I concurred it would be smarter to attempt to thump the snowstorm this evening, as opposed to come tomorrow when the streets are loaded with snow. I began to acknowledge the way that I really want to remain someplace for the night, as I was still excessively far away and the streets were getting awful. In the wake of halting for a fast pizza tidbits and a few cold drinks at a little cafe, the server who I was speaking with let me know it's absolutely impossible that I ought to be on the streets right now. She suggested a couple of inns in the space. Then after she left, and I was let be to wrap up, eating, a person sitting at the bar turned in his seat and told me, "There's an inn straight up the street from here." I put the inn's name into my telephone. It said it was in a real sense 10 minutes away. He said it was overall quite modest as well, so I could simply get a speedy night's rest and get back out and about. Tomorrow, he truly appeared to hear my entire discussion with the server. He was likewise staying there at the bar with the beverages. I'd never seen an individual go to a burger joint just to drink. I didn't realize coffee shops truly served liquor, yet individuals up by Sam are somewhat peculiar to me, essentially. On the grounds that I experienced childhood in the city, the man presented himself as Maury, and I gave him a phony name saying I was Alexa. The remainder of my time there, Maury was half confronting me in a turning bar stool, and I wasn't exactly hoping to continue to converse with him, so I turned away through the window to the snow until the server gave me my check. Then I expressed farewell to them both as I left in half hours I spent in the burger joint. The snow collected, basically an inch. I expected to get to that inn. I drove slow and was at the inn shortly, perhaps 15. There are several vehicles in the parcel. He seemed to be a modest inn, which was all I really wanted. I would have rather not squandered cash at any rate. I went to the front work area and requested a space for a night. I assume I paid around $100. And the man at the work area gave me a key to one of the ground floor rooms. I strolled back outside to my vehicle to get my stuff and bring it inside. It was a small room with tasteless backdrop, a sovereign estimated bed, and an honorary pathway. It was fine for the night. I attempted to FaceTime Sam, Yet there was no gathering by any means. Here, the inn had Wi-Fi, yet the secret word was presumably at the front work area. So I set my shoes back on and rushed external through the virus, snow to the front, work area on my way. There I saw there was another vehicle in the parking area. I saw somebody sitting within it. Yet I didn't require the investment to take a gander at who it might have been on the grounds. That sensibly, who does that? The man at the front work area stoically highlighted the free Wi-Fi sign with the secret word, and I composed it. It required a moment. Yet I was associated. I returned to my room in a rush, locked the entryway, and FaceTime. Sam, even with Wi-Fi, the association was so crappy. I could see his face, yet it would freeze outline for like 5 seconds, and his voice would cut too. I had the option to essentially speak with him, that I was protected in the inn. We chose to only message, rather on the grounds that the FaceTime wasn't exactly working. We were messaging to and fro for a couple of moments. Then I heard something come from the washroom, definitely. I inclined forward and saw that the restroom entryway was closed. Was it closed before? I didn't recall that I messaged Sam that I heard something in the restroom, and I began blowing a gasket since I understood. I raced to the front work area without locking the in-room entryway. He inquired as to whether the entryway locks without help from anyone else. I said I have to strongly disagree, yet presently, I additionally don't recollect whether I left the entryway aired out or not. He advised me to get up and actually take a look at the way to check whether it locks without help from anyone else when it closes. And to carry the key with me, I got up, placed my shoes on, and saw that the entryway had a conventional turning lock that moved with the handle from within, or the key. Outwardly, I opened the entryway, hoping to affirm this, yet I saw in a flash the additional arrangement of impressions prompting my entryway. Impressions drove from that vehicle that I saw somebody sitting in to my entryway, and no one was in that vehicle any longer. I wanted to shout. Yet rather I shut the way to my room and hurried to the front work area. I cried to the man that there's a gatecrasher in my room. The front work area specialist was not some tremendous jacked man, so I don't think he was needing to go defying somebody. He advised me to stand by in here, and he called somebody. I thought he was calling the police yet. Rather, he began communicating in some other language. I think he was calling a companion or partner. He hung up and told me again to simply hold on in here with him. I was remaining in a position where I could see out the glass down to my room, and I let out a scream when I saw the way to my room open, and that man Maury from the burger joint strolling to his vehicle. We lost eyes briefly before he got in his vehicle and retreated onto the unplowed streets. Vanishing gradually in the distance, the front work area, laborers, partner or companion or whoever it was, shown up sometime later. He was this huge person who didn't communicate in English. I don't have any idea what they were expressing to one another yet, the front work area laborer. Let me know. He would give me an alternate room for nothing to encourage me. I didn't feel quite a bit improved, yet I had no different choices of spots to remain right. Now I took the new key and the 2 men assisted me with moving my stuff into the new room. Sam proposed to come here, yet I told him not to. It would be excessively lengthy and too hazardous to even think about driving in obscurity in the snow. The following morning, the roads were fairly sufficiently furrowed to overcome the remainder of the drive to Sam's. Thinking back, I could do without how that inn specialist most likely didn't call the police, since he didn't believe his inn should certainly stand out enough to be noticed. I called that cafe to caution them about that man. I have no confidence in outsiders any longer, not after this. However, I was driving in Forest Field Country, Denver one night to keep away from traffic returning home. It was presumably a little past 12 p.m. as of now, and the street was essentially abandoned, only the manner in which I like it. I was paying attention to my typical tunes on the Spotify, while a ding came from my vehicle, cautioning me that I was falling short on fuel. I put a refueling brake into my guide's application for the closest corner store, which was a little ways up the confined street, around 10 minutes after the fact. I maneuvered into the corner store on the right, the main parking garage for a significant distance, as this street was fundamentally only woods on each side. The corner store was some conventional unheard of service station. I pulled close to the siphon, and saw a man topping off the tank of his old mixer pickup truck. He was viewing at me as I strolled past him and into the shop inside the shop. I purchased a cold drinks and paid cash for my gas when I returned external. I saw the man at the siphon getting into his pickup truck then, at that point, heading out following several minutes of topping off the tank. I got back in my vehicle and proceeded with my drive, yet not so much as a moment. In the wake of leaving the station, I saw out and about on the grass was that equivalent pickup truck from the service station. It was simply sitting close to the forest, switched off. Fascinating. I continued driving thoroughly, searching in my back view mirror to check whether it would turn on. No. I betrayed and proceeded with my drive. A couple of moments passed, however, and I heard one more ding come from my vehicle. My dashboard screen showed that one of my tires was extremely low. I dialed back and began hearing a wobbling sound. I opened a window and realized immediately I had a punctured tire. I pulled to the roadside and went to research. It was my back driver side tire. It was level. I didn't think I hit anything. I would have felt it. The idea came to my head. Imagine a scenario in which that person at the corner store sliced it. I took out my telephone and was looking into the number for my emergency aids organization on web. I heard a vehicle or truck motor a little in the distance behind me. Yet strangely, I saw no headlights. It was completely dark down there. Then the motor unexpectedly halted, and it hushed up again. I went to my trunk to get the electric lamp out of my tool, stash my father. Gift me new year as another present. I snatched the long light bar, turned it on, and pointed it not too far off. I saw the impression of a truck's headlights pulled out, and about around 100 feet away seemed to be that pickup truck again. I wheezed and ran into the forest and dodged behind a major shrub and tree. I took out my telephone and called 911. I heard the truck not too far off beginning, and this time the headlights were on. I heard and saw through the bramble the truck pull up close to my vehicle, and afterward, after a short snapshot of quiet, a man hollered out, "You want some assistance?" I knew not to answer. 911. God, and I murmured into the telephone my area, and that somebody cut my tire, and that I figure the individual who did it was here. Following me, the woman posed a lot of standard inquiries, requesting that I depict the man and his truck. I heard the truck entryway open and shut. I told the woman via telephone that the man escaped his truck. She advised me to stay concealed in the forest on the off chance that I thought he was a danger. She inquired as to whether I could check whether he was equipped, and that is the point at which the call separated. I had crappy cell gathering here. I held up trusting she would get back to me. I'm certain she was attempting to, yet it wouldn't go through. I heard one more passing vehicle in the street. It was dialing back then. I heard talking. It was the voice of another man. I crawled nearer to the edge of the forest to get a perspective out and about. I saw the man from the pickup truck remaining close to this other supplied pickup truck in the street. He was conversing with an individual in the truck. I heard the unpleasant man concocting this phony clarification concerning what was happening here. At that point, I raced into the street shouting, "Help, I don't know him." Both the man in the truck and the one who followed me glanced over to me. Told the men in the truck that this man slapped my tire and followed me here. The man in the truck's response was to take a gander at the man with an upset look, the dreadful man this evening, having done anything to my tires, and guaranteed he's never seen me ever. Simultaneously, he rushed away to his pickup truck and fired up, holding until he cleared both of our vehicles. Then at that point, drove off. The man in the other pickup truck got out and analyzed my level. Then, at that point, offered me a ride into town. I let him know I had cops on the way, and sure enough, inside a couple of moments, a cop vehicle with its lights on pulled up next to us. The man vouched for me when I enlightened him regarding the other man. The cop said he'd go down to the service station and solicitation to see the camera film to check whether it got the pickup driver really cutting my tire. The official took my data, and he held up with me while I hung tight for the emergency aids organization. The tow transporter gave me a ride to a shop where my father got me. I never heard from that cop. So I surmise he saw nothing in that video footage. It's unnerving that I was so near, presumably being stole.